Hi there, it's Greg Cottrell from Concord and 9th. We're really excited to participate in this year's Scrapbook Expo. This is actually one of our very first virtual shows, so hopefully you're enjoying it, and I'm going to pretend like you're right here in the room with me as I show you some of our recent holiday products that we released on September 9th. Here at Concord 9th, we release products every month on the 9th. And I'm also going to show you how to make 3 really fun festive cards. And I'm going to show you a product that's very unique to Concord and 9th. So without further ado, we're going to move on to the cards. Okay, so jumping right in, we have 3 really fun and festive cards to bring to the table today. And I'm going to show you them really quick, just to kind of give you a peek at what I will be making. And then I'm going to take you a little bit step by step through the process of making these cards. And I'm not going to do all the stamping and all the die cutting, but mostly just to give you a taste of what, to inspire you with your holiday creativity, and also just to show you some of the fun, unique qualities of a Concord and 9th stamp and die combo. So this first card here is actually made with a Turnabout stamp. And if you're new to Concord and 9th, Turnabouts are actually a unique product line to our stamps. It has, I'm going to show you the actual stamp itself here. You can see that the stamp, it's a little complex looking, and it's not meant to be hard to do. Once you learn how to do one of these Turnabout stamps, you will be able to use any of our Turnabouts, and we have dozens in our product lineup. This one is called Iconic Christmas Turnabout, and you can see it's very iconically Christmas. And the whole idea behind this is you're stamping and rotating your card 90 degrees 4 times with 4 different colors. And what you end up with after each turn is you're building a whole scene, and then by the end you have a super fun, kind of like a printed paper design, and it comes together fairly quickly. And so I'm actually going to show you in just a moment how to use a Turnabout, and then how to kind of finish and assemble this card. And then this is using our Fresh Cut Florals Edition 4. It's a really fun floral piecing die set, and it also uses a fun background. That's our candy stripe background that is part of our holiday release as well. It's been a very popular one. And then this last card that I'm going to show you is a trifold card, and it actually is created using our Full of Joy stamp and die bundle, and I'm going to show you how that comes together as well. So I'm going to first start, I'm going to pull these off the screen for a minute, and I'm going to leave our completed card up here in the corner, just kind of as a reference. And then I'm going to have this here. This is our stamp set, Iconic Christmas. And then what I'm going to do is show you how I load that into my MISTI. These Turnabouts require precision stamping tool, and we prefer the MISTI. It's been our favorite precision stamping tool. And some things you'll need when you're using a Turnabout is actually, this is a Turnabout jig available in our shop. And it's just it's a translucent plastic material. It is die cut with this perforated line on here, because this X in the middle of the jig, it has to be perfectly centered. So the whole thing is die cut, and it has a 1, 2, a 3, and a 4 in the corners. Those are important because, like I said earlier, it's based on turning 4 times on 90 degrees. And so those numbers help you to remember which turn you're on. So what this jig does is it lines up here in the corner of your MISTI. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your Turnabout stamp set out of its packaging, and you'll notice that there's the stamp set itself, okay? But then there is also an acetate, like a thin window sheet that is printed on, and it has the Turnabout stamp image on the back there. And I'm going to show you how to get your Turnabout aligned very quickly and easily, and then you're ready to stamp. And like I said, this process is the same for all of our turnabouts. So once you learn how to do this with one turnabout, you can find all sorts of other turnabouts for all different kinds of occasions in our product lineup on our website. We even have a whole turnabout section. So if that's something that, if you just want to come and see everything about turnabouts that interests you, you can do that. So I'm taking my stamp. This is the back side. The back side is facing up. On the acetate alignment aid, you want to make sure that you have the part here that says this side up, facing up, and then you're just going to carefully align your whole stamp to that window sheet alignment aid there, that acetate alignment aid. And once you've got the images all matching up, then you're gonna take your MISTI with your jig loaded in there. And remember, I referenced that X earlier. It's very important that this is cornered, and this X is perfectly, it's perfectly die cut with the outside edge of this jig. So that's important as well. And then what you're gonna do is the corresponding X here on the alignment aid is going to go and align with the X on the jig there. So you're making sure that everything's centered on that jig. And then what you're gonna do is pick up your stamp, put your jig back down there, and then the alignment aid is, your use of the alignment aid is done for right now. And what you have now is a perfectly centered stamp on that jig. And you want to keep this alignment aid, store it with your stamp, and you'll use that every time you need to align. Okay, so like I said, this is perfectly aligned on here now. And I've actually got a preloaded one here that I've already kind of inked up. So this is a clean one. I'm just gonna, I don't want to get that one all messy necessarily right now. But so I've got mine all, this one's already kind of got some red ink on there and stuff, so we're gonna go ahead and use that guy. And I've got my turnabout jig here, all ready to go. Now, what you can do is any piece of paper that fits on this jig is, you can stamp on. So if you wanted to offset your stamped images, you could push it all the way to the edge of this jig, or you can center it. We've got, for traditional card size, we have these 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 little hash marks that are kind of etched there into the plastic. So it's really easy for alignment. What I'm gonna do though is just take a 5 1/2 by 5 1/2 piece paper, and I'm gonna use this repositional adhesive that we carry in our shop. It's a Easy Dots repositional adhesive from Scrapbook Adhesives. It's perfect for stamping these turnabouts because it's very easy to clean off after you're done stamping with your turnabouts. And I'm just gonna center that on the jig using my alignment little hash marks. So this is gonna be able to, I'm doing this for the purposes of showing you the entire image stamped out, but if you had a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch card base, you could align that in the middle of this jig too. But this is just for the purposes of showing you the entire thing stamped out. So then I'm gonna tell you real quick which colors I'm using. We actually came out with a color line in July of this year, and we're really excited. It's been super well received. We have these firm foam ink pads. This is Poppy, Aqua Sky, just push those over a little bit, Clover, and Parsley. That's such a fun and fresh color combo. We're gonna use all 4 colors. Every time we turn this jig in our MISTI, we're gonna apply a different color, and in the end we'll end up with 4 colors and a completely stamped out background. And I'm gonna go with like my more saturated colors last. So I'm gonna start with Aqua Sky. Let me pull this back onto the screen. I'll get you a little corner of the card there. So, ink it up like you would anything else that you're stamping in your precision stamping tools. And Try not to shake the table too much for you. Got my tripod on there, and we're gonna go ahead and stamp that down. Hopefully I get a nice impression. I don't know about you guys, but whenever you're showing someone how to stamp, it's always nerve-wracking how well it's gonna show up. So this is pretty, the lighting here is pretty bright, but you can see that that image showed up there. And that was on layer 1, so now I'm gonna rotate once. So now I'm on the 2, and I'm going to now do my, let's see, I'm gonna move on to parsley. And, oops, first I'm gonna wanna clean that off so that we don't get 𝐒𝐿𝐴 mixed with parsley. And then again, just ink that up. And that should be good. I'm gonna stamp down, and what's really fun is you'll start to see this image continue to build in all of the white spaces on your card there, okay? So when I pull this off of here, there you have it. You can see that is starting to build right there, and then I'm gonna rotate again. Oh, you know what, I missed a little spot, so I'm gonna, that's the lovely thing about precision stamping tools in the MISTI, is because you can quickly just drop a little bit more color on there if you missed a spot. It kind of halfway stamped down right there, so I'm gonna make that a little more crisp. There it is, okay, and then rotate to my number 3 up in the corner, clean off my parsley ink, and I'm gonna use clover next because this feels natural to go with my greens right now. And clover is this nice Kelly green, fun, bright. It's great for the holidays, but also great for springtime. We have a really, one of the things with our color line that we tried to do was make sure that we had a lot of colors that worked nicely together. We want them to look great on their own, but also work really well together and have just multiple uses. And of course, holidays being such a big crafting time, we want to make sure we had a good lineup of colors for holiday crafting. And these are some fun, bright colors. So there you have clover, and we're gonna rotate. I always like to rotate immediately after I stamp, then there's no question if I've remembered to rotate my jig or not. So then clean off all that clover, and the last color we're gonna do is poppy. And for those of you following along and wanting to make this at home, I'm trying to go at a pace that is conducive to following along. But okay, so poppy is a really fun, we have a color called cranberry that's like a deeper red, but this is a fun, like really bright, just kind of candy apple red almost. So that's poppy. We are gonna ink that up. And this is our 4th and final turn and 4th and final color that we're using with this. And you can see these are all the blues and greens being used together. And then as soon as you drop this poppy color on here, it really just brings this whole entire stamped image to life. So let me put that down. And there you have it. And what's really fun, I'm gonna, cause that aqua sky is so light, it's kind of getting blown out on there, but what you can see is the design has been perfectly spaced out, and it's just really fun to be able to customize to any colors that you want to do. So we've used some fun, bright Christmas colors, but you could go with some more deeper, saturated, traditional colors and get a totally different look. Or imagine doing this in like incorporating some grays or craft or other, you know, there's just other ways that you can really make this your own. So then you just peel that off of the back of the jig and you can crop this down. I'm gonna move my MISTI off of here. Crop that down. And what we've done on here is it's actually just, we've cut it down to 3 inches, I believe. But then just layering on our card. Grab my trimmer super quick. Let's see, I've got that at, it's 3.5. So all I'm gonna do is just, I'm gonna cut off a little on this side And then flip that around and take it to 3.5. And then what I want to do is, I have just temporary adhesive in here, but you'd want to use a permanent adhesive. Layer that on there. And then using my twine, I'm going to tie up about 2/3 to 1/4 of the way up. And I'm going to offset that bow off to the side. And then tie that off. And of course, I'm not going to be able to tie it real well from this angle, but you get the idea. And then I would just snip off that extra there. And then I've stamped out Merry Christmas from the stamp set. So in these Turnabout stamp sets, we try to have, if there's extra room, what we like to do is be able to have some extra little sentiments and things like that to use so that you can really complete a card with one set. So I prefer, like on this, we've popped that up with a little bit of foam tape, but I'm just, for the purposes of demonstration here, I'm going to pop that down on there. And then we're gonna get this onto the card base. And there you have it. And then the one last little step here, with the iconic Christmas Turnabout, there is a die set that coordinates with it. And I'll show you that here. We've taken some of the imagery from the Turnabout itself, and then we've just created die versions of them, which are great for layering. And so what we've used is this little triple berry piece, and then we've cut out one extra berry, which you would just layer right on top of that. And then we cut out 2 little holly leaves that go right there, centered on the bottom of that little stamp sentiment panel. And that's it, that's the card. So I'm not gonna finish gluing that on there for the sake of time, but there you have a super fun, fresh, really bright, and cheery Christmas card using one of our Turnabouts. Again, check out our website for more Turnabouts and for many different occasions. So the next card, this one's quite simple. It looks complex, but it's really just a lot of die cutting assembly. And so what we've done is we've stamped this background, and I actually stamped a few times down with our wheat on wheat, like wheat ink on our wheat card base, with our candy stripe background stamp set. This has been hugely popular. I think it's the scale of it works really well with various holiday cards. And then what I've done is we've got this Fresh Cut Florals Edition 4, which is a poinsettia. And we have editions 1, 2, and 3 of Fresh Cut Florals that we released this summer. They're more spring and summer type flowers, so we wanted to do one for the holidays. And I'm gonna show you real quick how easy it is to assemble one of these flowers. I've pre-die cut these, and I wanna show you how to layer these up. So we're actually gonna start with our largest, and I'm gonna grab the die for you to see here. The poinsettia petals, they actually are a 3-in-1 die right there. And it's really nice because then you can just cut it out twice. And we're using just the largest and smallest part. And just with some liquid adhesive, or if you have glue dots. Okay, I had to step away for just a second. My glue is being a little troublesome for me. So what I'm gonna do is put a little dot of glue in the center of each of these, because I'm gonna quickly just stack them up, and you're gonna offset them each time. So you're gonna wanna start with the base of the flower, and that is going to create the leaves. Poinsettia leaves actually are what become the flower eventually, which I think is kind of cool. So here we are, just offsetting those petals and leaves, and it's super, super easy and fast. And then those are actually the same size. It's the same die, the same piece there that creates the leaves and those larger petals. And then you just keep offsetting in the open spaces so that in the end it's this very full poinsettia. And then for the center, you're actually going to use, included in the die set, it's a little almost snowflake looking piece. Let's see, right here, that little guy is your little poinsettia. Oh, so fun. And there you have it. And then what we've done on the card is we've kind of curled up the edges a little bit. And that is the focal point of your card. And then what you do is you're just using liquid adhesive, and I'm just gonna kind of lay these down for the sake of time, but you're just gonna kind of piece together a fun, just a fun little, and what you can, just a fun composition. And the thing that I love the most with design is taking repeated elements and even though it's kind of complex looking, there's a little bit of simplicity to that. Oftentimes when I'm working with multiple elements, I'll work with things in groups of 3, so you can kind of see like boughs coming off this way, and that way in 3s. This is really nice, like it's a 6-petal flower, which is a multiple of 3. And then I've also taken these little white blossoms, and there's 1, 2, 3 tucked in there, and then 3 little sequins in there. So that's kind of how I'd finish off my card, and I would just tuck that little stamped sentiment behind there and make sure that my flower's not covering it. But that's so simple, and it is quite a bit of die cutting, but if you're mass produced, like just die cutting a lot all at once, then you could easily replicate this card many times, and it's quite simple. I love how easily that flower came together, but it's such a dynamic component to that card. So there you have it. That's a really fun Fresh Cut Florals Edition 4 card. Again, it used candy stripe background in the background there. And this sentiment is from another set in our holiday release called Merry Mantle. But if you didn't have that set, obviously you could change that out for any sentiment that's kind of that scale for that card. And I don't know who wouldn't love to receive that card for the holidays. So I'm going to move that off now and move on to our last card. This is fun. The Full of Joy card, it really is just full of joy. We have a lot of our products for the holiday release are just like small images on the iconic Christmas and things like that. So for this one, we wanted to make something that was just super impactful. And I imagine this is a great card for something that's like a family newsletter type card. If you can imagine someone opening this and there's like a family picture with a little family update right there on the card, I think that would be super fun. And these cards come together very quickly because the die does most of the hard work for you. So what I've done actually to make this card is I stamped a candy stripe background card base. And this one I actually stamped the other way, and this one went down this way. I stamped this one twice, so it's a little bit more saturated look. And so you start with your card base here. And then what I did was I die cut this large joy. And you'll notice that it has a panel along the bottom. Well, that panel also has a score line and along each of the bottom of those letters. So I'm gonna fold along that score line. And what that is intended to do is to be glued along the back side of your card base right there. And then it's very simple. You just fold that up and over. And then I'm not going to glue that right now, but I wanted to show you the J. I love when things just fit perfectly inside of another die cut piece, and it frames it out so nicely. And I think this is just a really nice, bold look for a holiday card. And the whole entire stamp and die bundle is built around the word joy. So if you adhere those down, then that's what you get there. And in the die set, there's actually this banner piece here, and it has score lines on it as well. So you can just fold along those. And what we did is you take one of those here, you stamp, or you die cut another one here, and then it kind of gives that idea, the like feel of like a ribbon wrapping around that letter O there in the middle. And it was sized so that it would work on that O. And we have a few sentiments here in the set. Glad tidings of great joy, which we've done here in a white emboss. But we also have love and joy come to you. You could also just take these joy letters, the thinner letters here, and just put those large and very bold, and then have this to the world right underneath it for another bold sentiment without doing the trifold aspect of the card. But really fun. I think the holidays, if you're ever gonna do kind of a fun, more interactive type card, what is a better time than the holidays to do that? So I'm gonna pull these all back on the screen here now, just so we can have one last look at the cards created today. And we have so many other inspirational samples on our website using these stamps and dies. So please feel free to check those out just to get even more inspired for the holidays. And again, here is our iconic Christmas Turnabout card. This is our Fresh Cut Florals edition 4 using candy stripe background. And this is our Full of Joy stamp and die bundle with our candy stripe background as well. You can also see on this card, we had some stars. These stars came from the iconic Christmas dies, and they just add a nice little flair there. But if you didn't have that die set, you could easily replace these stars for just some silver sequins and get that same kind of effect. So there you have it. 3 fun and festive Christmas cards for the holiday season. And I hope that you've enjoyed kind of following along with me through this inspirational and instructional video. And I hope you're having a fun time at the Scrapbook Expo virtually, and hopefully someday we have a chance to meet each other in person real soon. Thanks for your time. Bye.